Hi, my name's Chris. Welcome to my cellar. This is the first wine review of 2020 and the reason for doing it is we've all had to drink wine separately for the most part this year rather than together. So I thought I would share this to bring a little Christmas joy as we all uncork our bottles, having been good for various amounts of time in the lead up to Christmas. So, quick look around the cellar. I've got two good friends who this year have brought their own cellars or their own fridges. We've not been that lucky this year, but I have bought a new 90 bottle rack. As you can see, it's black stained because you do tend to get mold down here when you have the unstained or the clear stained wood. So we've gone for that, and that was the perfect match. Only one gap, and we've got all the sparkling wine, a lot of champagne, a lot of English sparkling, and then underneath all of the Italian. Mostly Barolo, but with some lovely Chianti 2016s because it was such a great year. So, just coming in, good chance to show off first of the Christmas Day wines. I don't actually have it here, but it is from the Squires estate. This is the 2014 Blanc de Blanc, which I picked up a couple of weeks ago from Squires. That will be staying down here for a number of years yet. So we'll see how that goes aged. But what we're going to have on Christmas Day is a bottle of the 2017 Rosé. So, here we go, moving over to the other side of this, the left-hand cellar. On this rack, we have, this is basically the New World rack. In fact, ran out of space on the rack, so the US ones are next door. But here we've got some Felton Road down the bottom, New Zealand. Moving into Australia, 389, bin 389 Penfolds, big favourite of mine. And then one of the standout wines this year, probably the second best red I drank this year in terms of just enjoyment, was, just looking to see if we have one, it was a Stonewell Shiraz. This is the 2012, but I think the one that Dad and I enjoyed in October was a 2007. Then up into South Africa, we've got some good Kanonkop Paul Sour, the top Kanonkop. We've got the Meerlust, we've got the Warwick. We've got plenty of 2015s and 2017s because they're both amazing years in South Africa. But the other big one in here, if I can just dig it out, is this boy. This was introduced to me by good friends Andre and Mark, and this was my favourite red wine of the year. The year's not done, but this one's going to be hard to beat. I had two bottles, one in Oxted with the boys, and one with my dad and brother in October, and both times it just blew me away. Easily on par with the Stonewell Shiraz. Moving next door, we've got about 50 odd bottles, probably 45, 50 of the German and Alsace wine. These are all relatively young, so I'm just waiting for them to age, but some real notable exceptions. There's a 2006 there, and here, 1989. Grand Cru Riesling. I haven't had the nerve to try that yet, but who knows how good that will be. One other notable exception here, a Chinese wine. Notable in and of itself, but even more notable, looking at the colour, is the grape. Cabernet Sauvignon, Blanc de Noir. And then moving to the other wine rack in here, the other big 90 one, we've got the bottom there, is just some of the German overspill, but otherwise these are all Rhones. And the big change to this collection this year has been these boys all in these two rows with the sad death of Alain Vosges. I think in the autumn this year, I jumped on BBR and made sure that I stocked up on Alain Vosges, and I've got, I think, every year since 2011. So looking good there. Finally, before we leave this room, our second Christmas wine. Already got it out, and it's going to be Chateau Pontet Canet, 2002 Pauillac. I've got 12 of these. I've probably drunk 3 or 4 of them, and it's been absolutely spectacular. 2002, perfect drinking window. Enjoy that with a turkey. So, just before we leave this room, there's one thing I wanted to point out to you. I showed you the Kershaw Shiraz, Cool Climate Shiraz from South Africa. Favourite wine, favourite red wine of 2020. As some of you will already be getting bored with this story, my favourite wine overall, and definitely favourite white wine of the year, was a colleague, or let's say a family member of this stuff. So this is the Paul Roger Blanc de Blanc 2004. So on the occasion of Andre's 50th, I cracked open the last of the Paul Roger Blanc de Blanc 2000s. And because there were 6 of us, we only got a glass each, but it was enough to melt my heart. Easily the best sip of wine I've had this year. And I went out and the 2000s are all gone, but thankfully I was able to source the 2004s, which I think is a 95 out of 100 on Wine Spectator. Really top wine. Hello, back. We're back next door in the right-hand cellar. Got some of the old favourites up on the top here. This is all the Bordeaux here. I think there's about 100 and... those are both 90, so I guess 100 and 180 are full. Not quite full. Down the bottom here we've got the overflow of the US wines. Got a few smatterings of port across the top. 2017 port, fantastic vintage. That'll sit here for many years to come. And this one, younger drinking and drinking well now. 2006, year of our wedding. And we had one of these with mince pies this month. That's where the main Christmas event wines come from. But turning over to this side, we've got a bit of a poultry effort really. Got the Rioja Spanish there, a few Mugas. Probably the best stuff in there is this stuff. The Continuo 930 Reserva, really, really nice from the Wine Society. And then an even more paltry effort of Burgundy, and that's something I've got to put right if I've got the money to do so in next year. Only a few Burgundies left there, and it's looking pretty poor indeed. But we're going to taste some wines later, and one of the wines we'll taste is going to be a Burgundy. So let's move on. Welcome back, and here are the wines we're going to be tasting today. It's 2 days before Christmas, and I've decided to open a white and a red, a Magnum I've been keeping for a long time. Many of you'll recognize it. It is, of course, the Beaumont Family Wines Hope Marguerite 2016. Andre would know if that's getting on in age, and I'll be able to tell you in a second. I buy the Magnums because the single bottles are 26 quid. Magnum's 42. That feels a bit like a good arbitrage to me. And I've changed my mind. I was going to have a Beaucastel Chardonnay de Pape, but I've actually decided I fancy something a bit lighter. So I'm going to go with one of the remaining Burgundies. As you can see, the Burgundy stocks are low, but this is one of the good ones that's left. And actually, I like to do this. I didn't do it for the Beaumont, unfortunately, but I've kept the 2008 Wine Society en Primeur leaflet, and I dug it out today, and there it is. 2008. That would have been scribbled on in Switzerland more than a decade ago, and it's the Volnay Premier Cru Talapieds. Outstanding Volnay with fine nose, creamy palate, and impressive length of flavour. 100% whole clusters, drinking between 2014 and 2022. So getting on in the drinking window. I think I've got a couple of these left, and we'll give it a go. I'll get these poured, and then we'll have a quick look into the wine fridge, and then we'll get tasting. So yeah. Right, over to the wine fridge. Not sure there's any rhyme or reason to it, but we've got most of the ports, most of the good ports in here, and I've got ports for the two boys. Elian 2007, and somewhere in there a few 2009s for Leo as well. And then just smatterings of the good stuff, because I'm just not sure about storage. You do your best. If I get a really good case, I'll probably store most of them down in the cellar, but maybe put 1 or 2 in here just to kind of hedge my bets. And this is one that jumps out immediately. Big contender for wine of the year. The VCC 2004. Not an outstanding year in Bordeaux, but one of the very aristocratic French wines, and it's good in any year. So that's in there. And this is also where we keep... ooh, wasn't expecting that. There you go, a 1990 Chateau Suidereau. 1990, 1989, I brought those on honeymoon to St. Lucia with Erica and I. Look at the colour of that. And Neil kindly bought me a full bottle for the 40th. and I try and keep the odd bottle for nostalgia. What I meant to pull out was, let's see, one of these guys. And here we got the ice wine. That's actually a red one, Cabernet Franc. Gosh, I'm pulling out all the funny ones. But this is all ice wine in the middle here, and we try and pick it up when we go to the States. There's a Peller Vidal Blanc, absolutely stunning stuff. Less sickly than the Sauterne, I think, and just a special wine. Anyway, enough of that. Get back to the tasting. Right, so the Hope Marguerite. Let's see if it's corked. No, it's not corked. That smells amazing. Quite flinty, almost like a Chablis, I would say, on the nose. But good sort of citrus notes as well. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, by the way, and here we go. The seal has been broken. Really is delicious, as good as I remember. And funnily enough, that Magnum has sat in the garage fridge for nigh on a year and a half, because I was going to have it with my parents last summer. We didn't get round to it. And it doesn't taste any the worse for wear. Absolutely delicious. A little bit buttery, very citrusy, quite flinty, yeah. South African sunshine in a bottle, but I don't mean to make it sound not complex. Absolutely wine on a world-class scale there. And I'll try and drink that over the next 3 or 4 days, and let's see how it holds up with now that the bottle's been opened. So moving on to the Volnay. Volnay I visited. Eric and I went to Volnay, and it was, at least back 15 years ago, a place where you just rocked up and guys would bring you into their garages and let you taste their wine. This one, as you've seen, however, is from the Entrepreneur and the Wine Society. I think Volnay's south of Beaune. I think I'm right, in and around Beaune. Definitely not up in the north end of Burgundy anyway. So I'm expecting something light and good fruit expression. But it's, what did we say, 8 years old? So that's not very old for a Burgundy. Should be sort of mid-age, I think. Just having a look at the colour. I don't know if you can see that contrasted, but it's very clear colour. A little bit on the turn, I'd say, a little bit brown. Yep, pure farmyard. Pure farmyard, briars, bushes, hedges. Very, very Burgundy. And that's a good way to end the video, because that's absolutely superb. Absolutely delicious. So there we go, 2 fantastic wines. At least 4 out of 5s on Vivino. But I'll make that rating maybe a little bit later on this evening. But anyway, maybe we'll do this again sometime. Hope it hasn't been boring. Hope it's been enjoyable. Dived into a couple of wines, plenty of more stories and plenty more wines I could have pulled out. All of you, let us know what you're drinking over Christmas. We're going to have the 2002 Pauillac, as I said, the Squires 2016 Rosé. We got these 2 guys. There'll probably be an ice wine coming out as well over the Christmas period. Maybe a second bottle of fizz. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Here's to 2021. Hopefully we'll all get to drink together at some point in it. But to you and yours, happy Christmas. And most importantly, happy wine drinking.